Welcome to T-SMAC, home of the T-SMAC. May I take your order?
Hello there! Welcome to an all-new episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more. I am your host, Josh Scar, and joining me as always is my co-host, Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm loving our theme song today for some reason. Just listening to it.
Were you playing Halo or something? Like, that's usually how I get, like, that's how I get.
No, I just, for some reason, like, it really hit today. Maybe it's because it is a day to celebrate the person who makes me clean my litter box, to you, Josh, today on this Father's Day. Last I checked, when roaming the basement, you have 2 children, a dog, 3 cats, 4 mice you don't know about, the bat in the attic that you think's there but is not there but is there, and of course that blue jay.
Are those mice the reason why the cats are all huddled around the stove recently?
I will neither confirm nor deny where our entertainment comes from.
And then I do have to report back, Alex. My trip to Pittsburgh was not as successful as you had hoped.
I've seen the news.
I contracted a really bad case of bronchitis while smoking some ayahuasca with Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers, which is part of the reason why I was not here last week. And if I sound like I'm winded, it's also because the bronchitis is still not gone away. So I am going to do my best to not sound like I am on a respirator or something.
Well, I'm impressed that you keyed the mic with enough noise cancellation that they can't hear the breathing tubes that you have going on.
Yeah, I've got the Vader stuff just to the side of me. It's But I do have some good news, and that is Rodgers' $20 million contract that you reported on last week is actually $13 million. That could rise up to $19 million with incentives.
Oh, please, one and done. Give us the Tomlin special.
In our fever pitch, in our pitch black cave, I think he thought I might have been Mike Tomlin, since, you know, everything is pitch black. You can't tell who's who. He leaned over to me and he says, "I'm going to get you fired." Because he has just become a coach killer at this point.
I wouldn't be shocked, man. It is so funny to, like, there is always the whole metaphor of, like, we like to see our heroes rise and then we like to see them fall. But I'm not even sure this is a hero analogy. This is just a fall, and you're like hitting every rung of fandom on the way down.
I think he fell from like up to 2014. He was a pretty chill dude, and then something in him broke in I think the Seattle loss when they were a win away from the Super Bowl, like 2 minutes away from the Super Bowl, and like the rails just fell off. I think after that, that's kind of where he really, his villain origin story began.
Like, I never want to, like, you know, put somebody on, like, you know, like a Yoko curse, but that is right around the time that he started commingling with NASCAR, right?
I believe so. That's around that time. Which Danica Patrick has come out and said that was a very toxic relationship, which, like,
yes.
Hashtag shocked.
No,
there's no way the dude that, like, ostracized himself from his family for reasons is a toxic man. Like, no way. And hangs out with Pat McAfee and cigar swilling,
smoking.
I don't know. AJ Hawk comes across as such a douchebag. Comes across as such a dick bag. We'll call him that. Douchebag is not the proper term anymore. AJ Hawk looks like a dick bag in, like, those old Pat McAfee show videos where he's just, like, smoking a cigar, swilling some whiskey or something. Like, I'm like, dude, you look like a prick.
And so we have been super into baseball this past, like, 3 or 4 months. Specifically banana ball.
Yeah, Banana Ball's taking the nation by storm.
Oh yeah, we watch all the YouTube games. They stream them live whenever they're playing. And I forgot what the last few years, I haven't watched as much football just because it's something, I don't know, just there's parts of the game that feel forced or just feel off. Some of the decisions have been kind of weird. I've never been really a baseball person. Hockey, I don't particularly pay attention to until it gets to the playoffs. And the playoffs in hockey are like 7 months long.
There's nothing better than playoff hockey. Olympic hockey is pretty good too, but like Stanley Cup playoff NHL hockey is fantastic. Like if you want to understand why people love hockey, that's your go-to is watching playoff series.
Oh yeah, and it starts like somewhere in like mid-February and goes until July. But like the Winter Classic is fantastic.
Mid to late April.
Yeah, I know.
The finals very well could end. They will end sometime this coming week. Like by Wednesday when this episode comes out, I think Game 7 is either going to be Wednesday or Game 6 will have wrapped. Which fingers crossed, go Oilers. Hopefully some miracle can happen. I love Connor McDavid. I love Draisaitl. They just need to get their goaltenders to stop some pucks.
I'll get back to my original point in a moment, but that season of hockey they finished in 2020, where every team was quarantined with empty stands. That playoff to the Stanley Cup is probably the best hockey that had been played televised ever, because those teams were not playing to win. Those teams were playing to go home. Because like the refs stopped
that year. I'm going to look that up now.
The refs stopped caring. There were fights constantly. The aggression was obscene. You could tell. And one of the, I forget which the commentators were talking about it, but they did mention, they're like, both teams here know if they lose, they go home, but they don't want to go home losers.
The Tampa Bay Lightning won in 2020, playing in a bubble environment in Edmonton and Toronto.
Yeah, it was
the Lightning defeated Dallas in 6 games.
Yeah, it was brutal, great hockey. Like that entire playoff series was fantastic, that Stanley Cup. But my original point was watching baseball that's the players are actually enjoying, and the fans don't seem confined to their seats. Like, okay, we got 2.5 hours before the 9th inning. You know, it's actually just a joyful thing to observe. Yes, it is a little shticky because, you know, they dance at certain times and they do something between the top and the bottom of each inning. But they're playing real baseball. They're fun to watch, and the game goes by quickly. It is a great just 90 to 100 minutes because of the rules they have to speed up the game. So I forgot, Josh, what it's like to actually enjoy watching baseball or sports in general.
Yeah, I get that. Especially if you're watching with the network commentary. It is really weird now where they're forcing these storylines instead of just like talking about the game. It's almost like they throw in the boring parts of American Ninja Warrior into their commentary as they're going, and it's just like, just talk about the game. Don't worry about the off the field stuff. No one cares about that stuff. But we are here to talk about Predator, Killer of Killers, because I was thinking about maybe trying to do How to Train Your Dragon, but I really decided against giving Justin a little more ammunition to his his franchise. What do we call it? Fantasy box office draft. It is opening to about $198 million worldwide. So he's already made it over halfway to the Thunderbolts haul so far. But we'll see if it has legs, because everything I've seen on that movie is it's a drawn out shot for shot remake. It is a carbon copy with real people and CGI dragons, and like the production design seems to be really good. But if you've seen the animated movie, you've seen the superior version. There's really no reason to see this other than novelty, and I don't think the novelty is there. And that's our review for How to Train Your Dragon. 2025, I should say.
Did they in fact train a dragon?
They trained several, I believe.
Oh, wow. Next question is, Was Gerard Butler in this?
Yeah, he was definitely in it.
He made the crossover from animated to live action.
And what's funny is it's probably as bad as James Earl Jones reprising his Mufasa.
Really?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I'm not contributing to that box office. I bought another year of Peacock, so whenever it shows up on Peacock in September, October, maybe I'll watch it then. But I'm not contributing to this bullshit anymore. I peaked at Lilo and Stitch for the live action remakes, and I think I'm done. I'm good. I'll let that be it for the live action remakes, and I won't support anymore until my kids go, please. Too many times I'm like, fine, I like going to the movies, and I'll go have a moment with you and you guys enjoy the thing that I'm like, we have it at home. And it's not like it's wish.com we have it at home. It's like, we have the better version.
You should protest by only buying the children's tickets for the kids. And like, if you and Ricky have to go, like the adult tickets, like a different movie, just, we're throwing this to Final Destination.
There you go. But speaking of Justin, we're going to hear from the Movie Wire podcast. And when we come back, we will talk Predator, Killer of Killers.
In a world with so many movies to choose from, one man has created the go-to podcast for reviews of hot and trending movies, so you know what's worth your time. The Movie Wire Podcast with host Justin Henson. Hear Justin's movie verdict wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune in to The Movie Wire today.
I don't know if my headset cut out or if my stream cut out a little bit, but it sounded like you said to choose from.
No, that's definitely what I heard too.
Okay. I'm not going crazy, at least. I thought maybe it was my medication for my ayahuasca overdose, but no, with so many to choose from. Okay. Justin, I think you need to have your big voice guy redo that one, or maybe we just move it out of the rotation.
I will edit it for him and I'll just put in my voice.
I still I'm not contributing to Justin's box office with the fantasy draft. But you still have like the ace in the hole with your $2 billion movie waiting for us in December.
Not my luck.
I don't feel bad for you about Thunderbolts because you have Avatar 3 waiting in the wings.
Yeah, but my current luck is going to be that Avatar makes like 200 million worldwide.
I'm really curious how mine is going to turn out because all my movies come out within like 5 weeks of each other.
Oh, it's going to be
I didn't realize when I drafted 28 days later that was coming out in June. I was like, I'll have a little bit of a buffer and then it'll come out in like September, just in time for the spooky season. And then like my time is done. And hopefully I'll have like $3 billion in the bank for this. And maybe Alex will just come up a little short after he makes his $2 billion with Avatar.
I'm still mad I didn't choose Minecraft. I should have known it was a meme movie.
I gave you guys Minecraft like 3 times. I was like, hey, do you see this silver platter, this this platinum platter that is ready for $1 billion? It's Minecraft. I don't want it. Do you want it? And both you and Justin were like, no, why would I want $1 billion?
I know. I thought I was being smart, but like, I'm going to go with something in October. Scored by Nine Inch Nails. No.
Oh man,
no. We're not even talking about it.
The news that came out with that too.
If that's true, it's all alleged.
It's not confirmed, but it's pretty much probably true.
It's alleged. No.
Just like Tom Cruise is a bad person, you can just assume. You're pretty sure. Like everyone just knows it looking at him.
Alleged. Listen,
yeah, but still, that's gonna hurt that box office.
No, I'm hoping the mouse does its job and buries anything.
We're not worried about the box office. We're worried about the
I know.
soundtrack sales on vinyl,
yes.
And that's where we're making our money.
Oh yeah,
and the merchandising.
Oh yeah, no, I've actually have an in with the RIAA, and so I will be counting soundtrack streams into my box office figure.
Yeah, if we were including merchandising, I'm pretty sure Justin would walk away the winner just because of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh no.
Have you seen the 102 inch or how big was that? Build-A-Bear has this gigantic toothless that you can get, but it's $108, I think is what it is.
Ooh, okay,
but it's like 50 or 40 inches big.
Bear toothless. $128.
100, yeah. And it's like 50 inches or something like that.
It's like almost life size. 24 inches tall.
Oh, that's not that big.
For a stuffed animal, that's just its height.
My kids have a Pooh Bear that's like 3.5 feet big.
Yeah, no, but that's tall.
And that was like $40.
It's sitting up. This is not its total length. It is very long. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
The length is what matters.
I need to get get one of our spouses to dub in at that moment going, yep.
We can just take the Pam Beasley one from The Office. Yup.
Wow, that is huge. So sitting up, it's 24 inches, and then length is around 6. Wow, that is, I can understand why it's $128.
Especially since it's Build-A-Bear, so you got to like stuff it yourself at the shop, and then you got to lug it around the mall for the rest of your day, for however long that's going to take you.
Can you imagine just dragging that around? Like, listen, it's going to be fine. I know it was our first stop, but it's going to be fine.
It's so heavy. Timmy, I need you to carry the tail.
Oh, boy.
So, Alex, we watched an animated feature that was kind of unceremoniously dumped on Hulu, but this was the secret Predator project that they were teasing, because we knew about Predator Badlands, but they were like, there's another Predator thing coming this year. And then they released a trailer, and the trailer made it look like it was a TV show, because it was going to be like kind of like Marvel's What If, where like, oh, there's going to be a feudal Japan Predator story, and then there's going to be a Viking Predator story, and then World War II, and it's a movie.
I did not think it was a movie.
I didn't think it was a movie either. I thought it was going to be a 4 or 5 episode TV series, and it was just going to be like this anthology story of like different Predator matchups with humanity over time. And that is not what we got.
No, I was confused. Like, I was excited because I knew it was animated, and I thought it's coming like in August, closer to the new Predator Badlands movie. I knew, no, it just seemed to randomly appear in my queue. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize this was mid-June, and brought it up, and it said like 94 minutes. And I was like, okay, episode 1. Nope.
I mean, it is episodic. It's an anthology story.
For as little respect as they kind of like gave to this thing, it was a very easy watch.
Through the first story, I was kind of like, okay, where am I at? But then I got to the second story, and I was hooked. Like, I didn't care what time it was at that point. Like, the second story, The Sword, which is the feudal Japan one, that one is just astonishing. And we'll get to that a little bit, but let's kind of go through each story a little bit, and then we'll talk about how it ties itself up in a pretty little bow, in a sense, at the end. So it starts off with The Shield, which is the Viking story. We follow a Viking warrior woman and her tribe trying to hunt down someone that she has searched all of her life for some revenge. My monitors are all kind of jacked up. I don't know how that happened. So this one, I think, is probably my least favorite of the 3, which I think is kind of bold that it's the first one that they put out there, because I think part of why it's the first one is because it settles people into the animation style, and because it's Vikings, it allows you to see like the veracity of the violence and everything like that. One of the things that really stood out to me was immediately they pretty much are like, hey, people are getting dismembered, beheaded. We're going to stylize this. Like, what if Spider-Verse went R-rated with its violence and people were getting decapitated, blood splatters, and all this stuff? And overall, I liked the action and the animation style, but the overall story really kind of fell flat for me. But how did you find the Shield?
I dug it. It was probably my second favorite part, because what I really found admirable about it is that the story is of a Viking shield maiden who's like the leader of her tribe, and she has committed her life to this. So she's older. She has really gray, braided hair. She fights very unconventionally with like these two. I thought they were broken shields, but it's like the shields are etched in metal with like a stabby, broken off part. Like so, it's kind of like a sawtooth.
They're sharp.
And I immediately was invested in her story because when they arrive at the first location to start exacting more of her vengeance, they do the whole the enemy from the gates does this whole fire arrow shot thing, and she just stands there, and all her defenders all use their shields to protect her. She just, the whole heroic leader just standing there stoically. I bought it. I think it was a good use of a I don't know, to really whet the appetite, because you got to see medieval, I guess, version of a Predator, slightly older tech, and you were taught that from her that she's very cunning in her fighting, which I really liked. That as the stories progressed, every person had a different fighting style. It wasn't that they were just the badass brutes of their age, who, the Arnold's going to beat up people. No, she is cunning. She is strong in her fighting, but she's also, as it goes on, she starts using the Predators. It has this kind of like ultrasonic chain punchy thing that like flies off, and then he can ratchet it back. She realizes that tool and starts using it against him. So I dug it. I mostly dug it just because, to me, she, as an older, like, was it Danny Glover, the older kind of cop in Predator 2? Yeah, I like that. There was an older person, worn through battle. Her entire life has been setting up for this vengeance. And I dug that part of it, because it really made me just empathize with her immediately, that we're not getting this young, sprightly person. We're getting a seasoned leader. And
I think that's actually a really good point, because I think that's part of what took me out of it, was because this is set in, I think it was like 861 AD, something like that. Is pre 900, it's somewhere in the 800s AD. And as we know, people did not live as long in that time frame. And so when we're introduced to her son, who seems to be somewhere between 15 and maybe 21, I don't know, somewhere in that age range, where he is deemed that he's ready to be like this full-fledged warrior. I'm guessing she's probably 40 something.
Yeah, probably.
And she's supposed to be this old woman. And I think that's what took me out of it, because I'm like, I know people didn't live as long back then, but she's still in her 40s. Like she's still fit, and she's like, she technically still has childbearing years, but they want us to believe that she's like some grandma. But
it's a Viking 40, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's definitely seen her fair share of turmoil in her life and everything. But at the same time, like when we see the backstory of like why she's seeking this vengeance, and her dad is dying, I'm like, he's probably like 19 or 20 and she's 6. Like, what? I can't separate the age here. And you're breaking my suspension of disbelief, just because like, there's no way he's like a 30-something-year-old dad. Well, he probably could be a 30-something-year-old dad, because like that's all they did back then, was breed until the women couldn't breed anymore.
It's not quite how that worked, but I get your point.
They would spread their seed and do whatever to make sure that their lineage went on. They weren't thinking of like population control back then. They were thinking like, I need sires and I need to have my name passed on through the ages. But that part, I think that's where my immersion really could not work for this story, is because I didn't buy into her being that old. Like I could get into her being gray haired and everything, again, because of like the trials and war she has seen over her life. But every now and again, they do like a close up and she's got like the wrinkles on her lips and stuff like that. And I just go, she's 40, maybe 50, maybe at 50, somewhere in there. Like she can get those wrinkles, but like, she's probably not getting those at that age. But I also don't know what people in the 800s looked like.
It's a lack of sunscreen, man.
Yeah, she's chapped, I guess.
It's sunscreen.
But
years
she's also
at
from
sea.
Norwegia. And that's a nitpick. But for me, that's kind of where I was at, where like this week has been a weird week for me because among other things, like, yes, it's Father's Day, the day we're recording this. But the week leading up to Father's Day is always a rough week for me because that's when my dad died. And so like this last week I've been coming to terms with like he's been gone for 5 years at this point. And like this week just always wrecks me because it brings up bad memories of like family drama after someone dies and all that. So getting into the right headspace for this movie was a little bit of a chore, which is where I think also that lack of suspension of disbelief kicked in for me. I'm willing to accept that I'm the problem here, but I did really enjoy the fighting of it and how she like problem solved the sonic boom that he had as his weapon of choice. Really cool design where he's just like this big hulking
massive
Yota, something like that.
Predator
monster, which well, the first thing we see on screen is the text of the predator alien language, and then it gets translated, and then we see that it's like part of their codex, codex Yauta chapter 36 of their codex, fighting codex, whatever. I think that's the first time in anything that's not a comic book or video game that we have seen the name of the predator alien species.
I think so. I
think we talked about it with He-Man Star Fox, either in episode 200 or the WrestleMania episode. Similar to like what happened with Andor, Andor actually acknowledging like BBY as like the Star Wars timekeeping thing. Interesting that Disney keeps allowing these little things that are usually just like reserved for like the super nerds to enter into the mainstream a little bit more.
It's fine. It's fun to just sprinkle those things in. Like, so Josh, the story ends. She has defeated the Predator, has a tragic moment in her life. And then it cuts to her on an alien ship. And then we kind of briefly pan forward to see another person there. And then they'll get the nice little Predator language. And it says the sword. What I personally rather enjoyed this one, because I didn't know, but the voice actor who is playing twin brothers Kenji and Kiyoshi, I have secretly been watching him on like every Amazon original for the last 10 years. He was Paul in The Man in the High Castle. He is Joe from The Hunters. He's Chow Fa and Jack Ryan. Apparently, I've just been secretly following this guy's life on Amazon exclusives. But it's a story of two brothers, sons of a samurai warlord, and the father orders them to duel to see who will be the leader. Kenji refuses to fight. Kiyoshi attacks, scars him, and Kenji takes off, lives in exile. I really dug this one because as much as the first one was kind of like a Viking warrior one, this one also had a little bit of a revenge plot that Kenji has apparently plotted this day to go after his brother. And it felt very, samurai movie-ish. You have that amazing action of running across the rooftops, the hiding in shadows, and it wasn't until maybe like halfway through his secret assault on the castle that I realized he wasn't actually killing anybody. He was just kind of incapacitating or putting people to sleep. And it had maybe my favorite moment of the series, which is he's trying to stop these people from ringing the warning bell.
That was an amazing sequence.
And you hear the bell go off. He like looks to see, because he's defeated like 3 or 4 people in this little tower. He's almost been thrown into the giant bell. The other people have been picking up the hammer. One person like tried to like smash it with like their sword, and you hear the bell go off, and he looks around, and it's someone across in the other tower, and this great, amazing animated look of exasperation, like, oh my god.
Of course, yeah. Then in that sequence too, there's the spot where he knocks a guy back or like hits him in the face where he's going to fall towards the bell, and he gets up and catches him before he hits the bell with his head. And it like just so good. That was such an amazing sequence. And the fact that it's almost all done without any dialogue, it's all pantomime, it's all told through physical emotion and emoting. It's fantastic. And I think a big reason why this one is my favorite among the 3 is because of how much storytelling they do just through body language.
What I liked about it, because you're right, they didn't really talk. Like the brothers don't even really talk during this one, because the brothers end up together in a fight. And I was thinking that Kenji was coming back to maybe extract revenge and kill his brother. And I was like, I don't know why he would. It was my wife who went, no, she just wants to mark him. And I was like, what? And that was it. Like he defeated him.
His revenge is showing his brother that he is truly better than him by giving him the same mark. And that beautiful storytelling. Like he did not care about becoming the leader of the samurai gang or whatever it was. He only cared that his brother betrayed him for status with his dad, with their dad.
Yeah. And you could have ended it there. It would have been a great, like 10, 12 minute, just a little story, or mostly silent. Great music, great animation. But what I appreciate that they did in this one as well, that this one is the Predator in this one is different. And this one almost seems more curious, because as the brother is sneaking his way, fighting everybody to get to his warlord brother, you keep seeing the Predator just kind of watching, like they do, the whole he's invisible, or you see him for a moment, and then he goes back to his cloaking mechanism. But he's very curious. He's like, okay, so what is this guy doing? Why is he doing this? And then when he bests the great warlord, he's like, all right, there's my bad guy. There's my prize right there. And of course, it inserts himself into the moment.
And I think that's one of the things that always bothers me about the concept of the Predator, is that they're supposed to be these big hunters, which, like, human beings hunt animals that have no idea we're in the area, and we use our high-tech weaponry to take them out. Even if it's a bow and arrow, like, they don't have the concept of what a bow and arrow is. So like when we throw something at them that they don't know, it is unfair. But I think at least with the Predator, it is more, they try to be more sporting about it. Like the way I hear people talk about it is they are more sporting in their hunts. They are looking for someone to try to best. They're not just like, oh, hey, there's an elephant, I'm going to go shoot that thing because it's huge, or it could trample me if it gets scared and agitated enough. They want to prove that they are better than what they are hunting. It's almost like Kraven the Hunter, not the movie. The movie is bad, but like the concept of Kraven the Hunter, where he is looking for a challenge. But the Predator monster in almost every circumstance has more gadgets, has technology that is way beyond anything that we can comprehend.
A little bit.
So like it's not a fair fight. So like I understand that it's a big deal when people defeat them, but at the same time it's like it's the bringing a knife to a gunfight concept where you cannot win that standoff just because you don't have the range capability of it. You could technically throw the knife, but the knife doesn't travel as fast as a bullet, just as like the sound does not travel as fast as a laser can. So when the Predator blasts someone's head off with a laser, you're not even comprehending what happened in that moment until it's too late at that point. So the concept of the predator being this big game hunter seeking a challenge has always kind of bothered me, because they are overpowered in the sense of like, I want to hunt I want to find the most challenging hunt I can. And I get that like the cream rises to the top. So like Duke in Predator and Amber Midthunder in Prey, like these are examples of ingenuity coming up and outclassing the technology. And that's where we love these characters that win, is because they overcome these obstacles. But if we're coming from the Predator standpoint, it's almost like you're pretty stupid if you don't win.
Yeah, no, I get that. A lot of that whole mythos is from like the comic books and other books and the novels, where they basically kind of like backfilled this idea that they have this hunting culture who is honorable, which some of it is kind of shown where like they're scanning, and if you don't have a weapon, they just walk past you. I think, what is it, one of the Predator versus Alien movies, like they see a pregnant person and they're like, nope, no, I'm not attacking them. But it is kind of unfair when they're able to cloak constantly. And I did appreciate that this
and they
Predator
have nets that can constrict and just cube people.
Yeah. And I did appreciate this one had like almost blades that came out. So it kind of had its own little bit of a samurai sword kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I think it was a double blade too, like almost like a Vega from Street Fighter. There you go, Tim from Game Club Pod, Street Fighter reference.
And then, but this one's weakness was it was firing like these retractable explosives kind of thing.
Something like that. That was more in the bullet one. Where
this
it
one
would
this one exploded somehow.
It shot explosives, but I think the explosives were magnetic.
Yeah. And I did appreciate that this one's story it had a very much a poetry to the ending that was that was definitely a Chekhov's gun at the beginning, showing the two brothers sparring at the beginning, and then at the end where they both were like, "Oh crap, well you got your revenge, but now there's a big guy." That was lovely. It might be my favorite one just because of how quiet it was, and it was a purposeful storytelling of two brothers falling apart and then reconnecting with a common enemy, and that's just a great storytelling.
It is, and the way they overcome the Predator and how like the almost uncertainty of like, are they working to move against each other, or like it's one of those it's a great use of the off-screen gunshot kind of thing, where you hear the gunshot and then you just immediately cut to someone's face for a reaction, and then they cut to the other person. The other person's the one that's been shot. In this case, the brothers are like getting ready for a standoff. They run at each other to do a slice, and then we see the cloaked Predator just like fall to pieces, and the brothers are like, yeah, we did it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was so good. Like I knew that's exactly what they were doing once they started moving towards the tree, but I was like, I see what you're doing here, storytellers, and it's good.
Oh yeah. So, of course, he ends up captured, and it pans in the ship to a set of dog tags, and we get the Bullet, which I'm just going to say it's my least favorite one.
It's really close for me between the Viking and this one. I think it's a little too tropey and safe, but I think I like it a little bit more just because I think it has a little bit more character.
So this one is about... during World War II, a pilot named John, well, not a pilot, he's a mechanic who wants to be a pilot, but of course they're giving him crap and he doesn't really have a flying ship. But I respected this one for, instead of doing a ground-based Predator, this was a... which again...
Yar, he be a pirate Predator with an airship.
He is. And... How are they supposed to beat this guy? He's cloaked. He has these like he wanted fish in a barrel. Like I don't know what his game plan was to come back and be like, look what I did. And he was capturing. They literally had this harpoons that would rip out the engines from the planes. I'm like, I don't know what this guy's plan
Another
is.
example of not fighting fair.
No. But Torres gets up. Yeah, he gets his plane up there. He tries to warn them that this crap is happening. I do appreciate that he as well basically didn't fight the Predator at all. He had no way of actually fighting back. He had to basically trick the Predator into fighting itself. But that's where I got really agitated, because I understand these are the cartoon. It's over the top. They're going to be doing more cartoon physics and just superhuman things. But when your plane's on fire and you walk out onto the plane with a hammer and then start trying to kick off your fuel tank while it's on fire, that was a bridge too far for me.
That entire sequence. Yeah, that was almost. Tom Cruise wouldn't let that happen. I'll say that much. He'd be doing barrel rolls while trying to kick that thing off.
Yeah. However, I am a great fan of the writers doing a nice callback to Iron Man 1 with the icing problem.
Mm-hmm. I like that they actually had the cockpits icing up too as they were climbing.
Yeah, basically, Torres realizes that the Predator is only attacking hot things, so your engine, and they're always going for the engines to rip them out. So he comes up with this cool plan of, let's go as high into stratosphere as we can, into the atmosphere as we can, cool our engines down, turn them off, and then attack it while it's plummeting, so that we have the upper hand of firing when it doesn't realize it's coming. That was cool. I like that, and I did like the ending of it, where it shows how these people are captured. They're not captured right away. They're captured like a few weeks or years later.
Yeah.
So it's after the war. He's back at his garage, and all of a sudden he's just apparently captured outside of his garage by a tractor beam.
And I thought that was interesting, because we did get that sequence through the end credits of Prey, showing that the Predators, Yautas, I need to look that up. It's going to bother me. Yauta. The J is an H sound. So yeah, through the end credits of Prey, we see that like the Yauta come back for Amber Midthunder's character, and we don't know what happens to her from there. Which, spoiler alert, this movie answers in a way, which is another thing I have to kind of gripe about with this movie. So we find out that these victors are thrown into cryosleep, because one of the big mysteries that we get that we're supposed to ask, because we're given time frames on all this stuff. So you have like 860, 900 something, or was it 1100 with the sword? Somewhere between 900 and 1900 AD, and then you have 1942. So like these guys are all separated by like 1,000 years of time passing on Earth, and yet they're all just existing on this spaceship all of a sudden. So apparently the Yauta take the victors who beat their hunters and bring them to their home planet. And in a couple of really good swerves where they get these restraints thrown on their necks, they're treated very rough, but then all of a sudden they get pulled out of the ship and the containing unit that they're put in, and now they're getting knelt to by a guard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna be like praised as like one of the Yautas because they've defeated the hunters that came for them. And no, it's even worse, because now they're in a free-for-all where they have to fight each other, and then once they win that fight, they get to fight the Yauta chieftain.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that either, because again, it feels very cheaty.
Yeah.
Like you're going to make them fight each other to the death. You're going to exhaust one of them. And then you're going to be like, look at me, big tough man, me, big tough Yauta. I'm going to go beat this guy up because now they're really tired. I don't think that puts you in as good of a spotlight as you think it does. Your entire concept is flawed, because does Alien vs. Predator understand the Predators better than any of these individual Predator things? Because like the first Alien vs. Predator movie, as bad as it is, we are told that the xenomorph pyramid at the bottom of Antarctica or whatever it is a training ground for Yauta hunters. And once they find out that this pyramid is activated, their Batman, which if I remember correctly, they call him Wolf in the credits. Their version of Batman gets a signal saying, "Hey, something's going wrong that we don't, or something's going on that we didn't activate. Go check it out." And he goes and like gets his utility belt packed and goes for a big hunt of xenomorphs and to see what's going on in Antarctica. And it seems like something the Predator monster would do based on the concepts that I have seen in nerd culture over the years. He comes prepared for what he expects to happen in this hunt, and he handles it with the way he needs to. And he even like takes on a sidekick. He gets himself a Robin. But in these movies, it always feels like they are just cheating, except for Prey. I think Prey is the only one where, yes, they're still hunting with advanced technology, but there's a weird dichotomy of how the predator monster in Prey is behaving. And I forget exactly why. I haven't watched it since we did our review for it, but I feel it felt different. Like it felt like the people were inconsequential to the hunt, and it only started hunting the Native American tribes and the humans because they were interfering with what they were doing. Because like it was hunting the bear, it was hunting other wildlife in the area, and then all of a sudden, like people are coming after it. So it's like, okay, well, you've chosen your fight, I'm gonna get you. But everything else always just feels like again, Kraven the Hunter, man is the greatest hunt of all, sort of thing. So the chieftain being like, you fight to the death and then I'm going to come and fight you, just did not sit well with me. Because again, it doesn't feel honorable. It doesn't feel like a fair fight. It doesn't feel like he's really proving anything other than these guys killed our guys. Now they kill each other. The last man standing is now going to fight me. I'm fresh. They're exhausted. They don't know what's happening. It just, I don't know. It's a weird add to the lore. Yeah. That just doesn't seem right. Like I almost felt like it would have been more interesting to either have it tie into Predators, where the victors get thrown into a battle royale situation, just like they do here. But again, they're just dropped on a planet and now they get to be hunted as a group of survivors, like that have a general idea of what's going on, or they get greeted and like welcomed into the fold, but they don't know what the hell's happening. So it's weird. Like that would have been a more preferable ending for me, where it's like a weird false positive, where it's tragic in a way, but also like, okay, they've done something that adds to the lore of what the Yauta do. But this one just, it just means like, oh, they're going to continually kill the people that kill them because they're sore losers.
I do find the kind of the glossing, the gluing on of like a ritual respect system to the Predators, the Yauta, as kind of amusing, because even in the first movie, when they lose, they cheat. Because
they set up a bomb.
They set up a bomb. Or what is it? Alien versus Predator, as the aliens are coming at them, it blows it all up. Yeah. But I think the whole like having an honor system is kind of added because from Predator 2
and Alien versus Predator games, maybe.
But even then in Predator 2, because he sees all the other hunts that they had, which have some skulls and like a T-Rex skull, and of course you get the xenomorph skull in there. They give him the gun, that ain't,
which the gun comes back in this as well, which was, I thought that was hysterical. It was a good Easter egg, but it also continues to not make sense in the continuity of these movies.
No, which I thought was funny. But even then, he has to take off running because they fire up their ships to take off and like burn the entire sewer. So they're like, yeah, you won, but you still might die from my exhaust.
Enjoy your trophy as you die.
Exactly. I found it kind of inconsequential, the ending. It was a little interesting to see the three of them try to work together. I super love that Ursa called the big guy Grendel, which is just fantastic.
That was a great touch.
Yeah. But we briefly got to see, you know, her anger. I will survive at all costs. Kenji's like, I'm not gonna fight you, man. And then Torres is, well, we got to figure out how to get out of here somehow. I kind of like that, but I felt the fourth act was just the weakest part. I wanted something more than just they battle to the death to fight Grendel. The only thing I actually kind of liked was the very, very ending, which is more
or less a tease for Predator Badlands.
Yeah. I found that interesting just because that gave me some kind of like hope that we would get a Prey sequel, because I really, really liked Prey. We've had, all right, let's see, since 84. No, 87.
87, yeah.
We had Predator, then 3 years later, Predator 2 with Danny Glover. It was then 20 years later to Predators. Then we had...
Was it Predators, or did Predators happen after Alien versus Predator? Are you not counting those?
I'm not counting those yet.
Okay.
So just in the main Predator timeline, it was 20 years later to 2010 for Predators. Then 8 years to The Predator, the Shane Black reboot, which I still can't believe I paid money to see.
that killed the franchise.
Oh, that buried it bad.
That might have been another reason why Fox had to sell to Disney.
No, yeah, that alone. Yeah. But now we had Prey in 2022 with Dan Trachtenberg. This was also produced, directed by John Trachtenberg and Joshua Wasson.
I don't think Dan Trachtenberg directed this. I think he gets a director credit because they needed the name. Because it's co-directed with someone. I don't think he has had the time to do an animated feature.
I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say allegedly.
I mean, yeah, it's purely me speculating, but I saw that the way the movie ended, where it's like a Dan Trachtenberg film, and then like the very next thing in the credits is co-directed by. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Give credit to the other guy too.
Yeah.
Like maybe Dan Trachtenberg came up with the story concept for this, but I feel like the other guy, which we should pull up his name so we can give him proper credit. The other guy is probably the animation guy.
Joshua Wasson.
I knew I liked him because, yeah, Josh is a good name to have.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
I'm pretty sure Dan Trachtenberg was only added to it to add legitimacy to the property.
Yeah.
But he was directing Predator Badlands. I don't think he had time to co-direct a Predator animated feature, which maybe he was more or less an EP on it and he had like story input. But overall, I don't think he had a lot to do with this.
I need to remember there was situation where, so Spielberg had several times where he would do like 2 films in a year. And that often meant that he would finish filming one film, jump to the next film, and kind of like gave oversight to like editing and special effects by basically like satellite phone, internet chat rooms kind of thing of like, yes, I'm still involved, but I'm doing something else. Kind of wonder if it's that kind of situation where Trachtenberg was kind of like, yeah, the art style looks good. The 3-act structure, dig it all. You're doing great, guys.
Yeah, that's what I have envisioned in my head is probably what happened there. Like he probably had some involvement, but it was probably more or less just like an approval or quality check kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas kind of thing.
Yeah, where it's called Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas, but he didn't direct it. He wasn't there for the day-to-day stop motion animation stuff and framing the shots.
Yeah.
He wrote, I think he had input on the story, and then he was an executive producer. He brought the team together and financed it.
Yeah. So, and then we get Predator Badlands in November. Between all that, like you said, Alien vs. Predator 2004, Alien vs. Predator Requiem 2007. So the Predator franchise for live action is a terribly mixed bag that is just kind of like chugged along somehow for 40 years.
It's the iconography of the Predator mask. Like that and the roar and the gadgets. Like it's almost like Batman. Like the mask and the gadgets kind of help him skate by on a lot of stuff. But I think Predators gets a bad rap. I think that movie in particular is really solid. It just didn't perform at the box office for whatever reason. Like maybe it was Topher Grace's involvement where people were still kind of mad about his turn as Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Probably.
I don't know, but they played him off so well, where he had that turn where like, oh, he's a serial killer, he's a psychopath, like, okay. And I thought they played that up really well as a good turn, because Lawrence Fishburne is in there, and he ends up becoming a like really short-sighted villain for the film as well. And like there's just a lot of good stuff and interesting lore dumps for the Predator lore for in that movie, but it didn't perform well enough. And like maybe again it was also like no one was going to buy Adrian Brody as an action star sort of thing too.
Yeah, I admit that when I watched that and Adrian Brody was like the lead, I'm like, Arnold. But I actually haven't seen it since I think opening weekend. So what?
I've watched a handful of times. Like the Predator franchise is a weird gap for me where like I enjoy the movies, but I don't watch them all that much. I'll probably watch the Arnie and Carl Weathers original Predator from 1987. I'll probably watch that like once every few years. But especially now that my kids are like cognizant of what I'm watching, I will turn those things off or not watch them until like late at night. And I don't feel like watching something like Predator just before I go to bed.
Hey, no, they can watch the first Predator movie, man. They got to start learning the quotes. Get to the chopper. I ain't got time to bleed. If
Dylan, you son of the bitch.
If it bleeds, that means we can kill it. You got to start.
I covered myself in poo.
Do it now. I
really hope this is mud.
Do it. What are you waiting for?
Kill me.
Oh, such a good movie.
What killed the dinosaurs? You, apparently.
Why is Arnold suddenly like Swiss?
I don't know. That's just where it went. I don't proclaim myself to be a voice actor. I can only do the what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. I can only do that, really.
I was watching a video about, and this person does a lot of impersonations, and they said like, listen, if you really want to do Arnold, you just kind of have to yell, and to get the voice right, you got to go with the Ice Age. Like make a nonsensical bunch of sound and then the words.
You know what the most, and Arnold doesn't really have involvement in this, like the most watched Arnold Schwarzenegger thing I've seen in my life is the YouTube video of Conan the Barbarian, the musical. I love that so much, just because and hear the lamentations of the women. And with the bridge to, and come if you do not hear me, to hell with you. They lip sync that. They sync that up so well. I might have to put that in the episode description, just because that is one of my all-time favorite YouTube videos. That thing's like 15, 20 years old at this point. I was working at GameStop when that came out, but that's beautiful internet stuff right there.
It is. I'm gonna have to start watching some of that, because what's really funny about it is like an Arnold impersonation doesn't actually sound like Arnold.
Oh yeah,
but we know the impersonation's badness enough that we recognize they're trying to impersonate Arnold.
Oh yeah, and Frank Caliendo has a great take on impressions. Like he's one of our greatest impressionists of the modern era, and he's like, even a bad impression, like if you can find a way to make that work, because if it's a bad impression of one thing, it's probably someone else. Like he was talking about, I think like his George Bush is like a really bad Clint Eastwood or something like that. It's good stuff that he comes back to. So to get back to Predator, Killer of Killers really quick, I think my biggest problem with this entire thing is the not post-credits scene. We get the tease of the Badlands, and then we immediately cut to this chamber full of cryopods that we have seen our Ursa Torres and Hiyoshi, or whatever his name was, come out of. And there is just a litany of these cryopods of people that have killed Yautas. And I'm just like, how bad are these guys at their jobs? that's a streaming backlog. They have like their own streaming service of cryo-frozen people. It's just an endless corridor of frozen people that have killed them. And how? You're supposed to be so good. And again, if the lore is what the lore is supposed to be, which it's coming from my understanding of the internet, so possibly not even close to what the lore is supposed to be, how are so many of these guys dead?
Okay, I did not think about that part. But now
there are a lot of those cryo tubes.
The world, because I was looking at the ones in the front because I was trying to figure out, like, who is that? Is that from that? Like, trying to figure out, should I know this?
I figured they were going to do a Duke tease. Like, they're like, oh, there's Duke, there's Arnold right there. Yeah. But no, it's Amber Midthunder is the one that they really linger on.
Nara? Yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember.
Yes, but... And that's so that was like, oh, hey. And then I like, no, mind you, I know Dan Trachtenberg allegedly didn't co-direct this, but he did confirm that is
per our speculation.
Yes. He did confirm that is accurate to the timeline that he has established, that apparently they went back and got her.
Well, I mean, by this point, it's at least 1948 or something, 1950, somewhere in there, because they went back and got Torres after the end of the war, or he got discharged after that big battle. That part really irked me because, like, yeah, they've got like 900, 1,000 years worth of people in there, I guess, of aliens that have defeated the Yauta, but it still seems like a lot, and that bothered me.
Okay. So no, Josh, can you get past all of this anger and give it a positive SMAC rating?
Oh, I would say it's a must see. I think it's a beautiful, if for no other reason you watch the sword sequence, it's one of the better uses of the weird frame rate thing from Spider-Verse. I still think like Spider-Verse and The Wild Robot are the best examples of it. A little bit of the Mitchells versus the Machines. It's not quite as heavy in that movie, but this one uses a lot of that. I don't know if it's the same technology or like they're doing their own version of it, because I think Sony has a patent on it, so they can only do similar things. Like, I think the environments are a little flat, so like that's where I kind of draw the line between like The Wild Robot and Spider-Verse and this, is that the environments are really just kind of like, here's the foreground, don't worry about the background. The characters look great, the movement, the action all looks really good, but I'm the overall image on screen always felt a little flat to me. Like they didn't do enough with the color palette and with the technology to really make it pop. And maybe it's also just because I'm watching on a TV and not on a big screen. It could be as simple as that, where this is an animation style that really comes to life on the big screen. But overall, I think it's a must see, because all my misconceptions or understandings of the Predator lore, those are me just being like, I thought this, but this movie's doing something different. And that's fine, because I'm not that stuck in like, but the internet told me this.
No, to me, it's must see. I think the animation was gorgeous. It does suffer from a little bit of that weird frame rate issues that I can't quite stand.
Almost like they're trying to do a stop motion without doing stop motion.
Yeah, it's not as bad to me as the Lego movies are, where the Lego movies just give me a headache. My brain just can't handle this is so crisp but animation, but why is it so dodgy frame rates? There is a little bit of issue, like especially during the bullet with Torres, where everything's gorgeous and then there's an explosion in the background that is definitely a hand-drawn explosion.
I thought a lot of that stuff was really cool, because they had that in the sword too, where they were burning something, or maybe it was the shield. I can't remember, but there's a moment where there's like a bonfire and it was like a pink flame, but it was like 2D animated, hand drawn. And I liked that, where it stood out a little bit more.
Oh, to me, that made me go, oh, hey, because my eyes were drawn to that versus what was happening. But overall, it's great. I like right now, I think it's a great time to be a Predator fan. If you're excited about the movies, Prey is just fantastic. Predator Killer of Killers should be watched. It's a great, quick anthology. And I'm really hoping Badlands is good.
Yeah, just don't be stuck in the idea of the Predator lore, because there's not a lot of lore in this until you get to the end. But again, that part really kind of does some weird things, because it's not a fair fight. I don't understand what they're going for with how they handle these things, because where my head went with that was, oh, he's going to fight all three. He's going to force them to work together, or they're going to have to force themselves to work together to even have a chance. But no, he's just like, you three fight. I'll sit here and sip my tea and, pick up where you guys left off after one of you is still around. But he big, strong chief man. Ah.
Very true.
But it's still good. Like everything I have to nitpick about this is it's just me having fun, because I think it's a little off, but it's still, you can turn your brain off and just enjoy it. And I think it's a really cool film because it is an R-rated movie as well. And they embrace that. Like, you don't see R-rated animated features too often. Like even anime, like they can get pretty visceral and they're still just like PG-13.
No, there's way too much blood and gore for this to be PG-13.
Too many decapitations. Like there's like 5 too many.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex. Well, Predator Killer of Killers is a must-see according to the Talking Smack rating. Where can people join in on the conversation to let us know about their thoughts and considerations for Predator Killer of Killers, or my thoughts on the lore within the Predator universe?
That would be tsmackpod@gmail.com, which is our Discord. Just click the link below or feel free to join. It's an open invitation. I've been happy that there's been more conversation happening. Mostly you guys have been tagging me and dragging me into conversations. Listen, people, I do try to work occasionally, but if you at me,
it's a trap.
I will.
It's a trap, Alex.
I'll like read the last 10 messages just to get context and be like, yes, this is why I'm here.
So you can join our Discord. The link is in the episode description. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Hive Social. Nope, Hive Social's gone. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Talking Smack Pod. You can email us your thoughts, questions, reviews, concerns at tsmackpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes, Beppo for our original avatars, Retrorail Studios for our Ricky avatars. I'm back on thumbnail duty, so thank you to me for doing the thumbnails. Joey, you have been chipping in on little things, so thank you for your time and help when I need it. Your thumbnails are also still beautiful. I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Please like, subscribe, rate, review on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Alex, thank you so much for being here and allowing me to rant about some things in the Predator universe that I didn't understand. But most importantly, thank you for listening. Take care. And Alex, what should people be watching?
You better watch Star Trek.
Who loves T-Smack?
I love T-Smack. Is it true? Mm-hmm. I do. Ooh.
I like that you got into character with that one. Like I could see you putting the energy into your face and pulling it together, and then just blue stealing it into the mic. And you better watch Star Trek.
Better.